Welcome to Sound Leadership with DJ, the podcast that dives deep into the world of leadership. If you're passionate about learning from the brightest minds in the field, you're in the right place. In each episode, we embark on an inspiring journey alongside successful leaders, unraveling the secrets behind their accomplishments. From their early beginnings to their current roles, we explore the unique path they've traveled to reach their present status. We'll dive into their biggest challenges and pivotal lessons and gain invaluable tips for inspiring leaders just like yourself. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Valecia Baldwin, the owner of Nurses Take the Lead. Dr. V's healthcare journey began in New York as a nursing assistant, and she progressed through the ranks to become a licensed practical nurse and a registered nurse in 1988. Over the years, she has cultivated a wealth of experience and knowledge in the field of nursing. She currently holds a master's degree in leadership and management. But wait, there's more. Dr. V also holds a doctorate degree in healthcare administration. See, over the years, Dr. V's career has taken her across the U.S. She has covered over 25,000 miles as a travel nurse consultant in various interim roles such as director of nursing, quality assurance nurse, staff educator, and infection control experts. These roles have helped her to hone her clinical skills and deepen her understanding of the critical facets of healthcare administration and leadership. Dr. V is passionate about contributing her extensive experience and expertise to better healthcare organizations around the world. Today, Dr. V will share her insights on a range of topics, including emotionally dysregulated leaders and the impact they play on work environments, as well as discuss personality science-based testing for improving team dynamics and communication, and so much more. I can't give it all away in the beginning. Join us as we sit down with Dr. V to explore these critical leadership skills and discuss the topics that leaders must know and understand. So whether you're an experienced leader seeking to sharpen your skills or a newcomer embarking on your own leadership journey, Sound Leadership with DJ has something for you. But before I bring on the star of the show, Sound Leadership has something else to say. We want you to follow us on our social media pages. You can like us on YouTube and LinkedIn at Sound Leadership with DJ. And you can also follow us on your favorite podcast platform. This includes Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ and hit that subscribe button. Now it's time for you to buckle up, to be prepared to be inspired, motivated, to become your best self. Let's welcome Dr. V. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. You are quite inspirational, and I just feel honored to just spend this time with you. So thank you so much, Demetrius. I'm just excited.
Listen, Dr. V, I had to pull you away because you're world known, you're worldwide, you're all over the place, right? And I know for you to take time out of your day, it's an honor for you to take time out of your day because you are so worldwide. And I did that introduction as I always start my podcast. I did that introduction, but it really doesn't hold a candle to the years of experience in leadership, education, and passion you have for the healthcare community in the healthcare field. So can you tell us, who is Dr. V?
Well, first of all, I'm homegrown. Sometimes you can have a lot of education, but I don't want the education to speak for who I am. I'm boots on the ground. I came into healthcare as a nursing assistant before they were even certified, Demetrius. I went on to work as an LPN and really enjoyed that, had fabulous mentors at the bedside that really inspired me to go on and get a 2-year degree as a registered nurse. And as you said in the intro, 1988, I became a registered nurse, have gone back to school multiple times to, just learn more, perfect my skills, and get some more education. But in the meantime, I just became a better leader, a better nurse.
Yes.
And I really lead by example in the healthcare industry. So I take what we are learning in the books and I bring it to life with the boots on the ground kind of attitude. So that's really who I am in a nutshell.
You know what? I love it. And you went back. You said before nursing assistants were certified. Now,
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes.
But that shows your dedication and commitment to the healthcare field, right? You've been
Yes.
doing this for a very long time. And I'm sure when you got into the healthcare field, you didn't think I'm going to be Dr. V one day. So how do we get to Dr. V? Right? How do we go from New York to as a DNA to Dr. V, who's called upon to fix organizations across the world.
Yeah, well, it's a journey. It's a journey, and so for me, healthcare has really given me just as much as I've given it. And what I mean by that, part of the journey is we don't really expect going in that we're going to be on this journey for 20 years, 30 years. But what happened is it was an opportunity for me to heal, for me to grow, and through nurturing others, nurturing patients. Um, I grew in that way as well. So I was able to expand. And so, how I became Dr. V is that thirst for connecting the dots. How is it possible that the power of what we bring to the bedside for our patients is also rewarding and healing for us in the same kind of way? So I wanted to understand that more, which
Yeah,
is why I went back and pursued a doctorate in healthcare administration, because I really wanted to make a difference on a much broader scale. Because
understood.
if I can heal in those kinds of ways by nurturing and giving and finding value in this type of field, I wanted to really serve as a conduit for others as well.
And talk about serve, right? And I think that's one of the words that they love to throw around and people love to say, right? Is servant leadership. But what is
Yes.
servant leadership? What is serving others? And how do you define that?
Yeah, so it's a little tricky because it's servant leadership in some respect in the healthcare industry has become a buzzword, right? So
Yes,
if
agree.
you are a servant or you are a servant leader, it's like, oh my goodness, let's clap for you because kudos, you a servant. But for me and my journey, I think in order for you to serve, you have to deal with yourself first.
Yes.
So when I first came into healthcare, I was mimicking my colleagues because I didn't have the excellence and the expertise that they had. So I mimicked their behavior. So I knew that I wasn't going to go into the hospital. The little edge, that Brooklyn edge I had on me, I want to use profanity. I want to,
Ooh,
slam things down and act a certain way as a young nurse, right? But those nurses that were mentoring me, they let me know that that's a no-go. Like we don't behave like that, right? So I think when we really say we're being a servant or leader, we first have to begin with being authentic to ourselves, Demetrius. We got to be authentic to what is our truth. Because if not, then what we're doing again is just mimicking. And so when the going gets tough and you're asked to expand in ways that you're not familiar with, that's when the frustration, the burnout, you're unhappy with your peers. You start creating that kind of high school kind of dynamics on who like who don't like who. I was supposed to get the promotion, but you got it. You got to really do the work on
yeah.
yourself so that you can serve in a healthy way.
You said a lot there, and we got a lot to unpack because you talked about somebody else getting the promotion and over you, and we got the high school dynamics. But before we get into that, right? I want to talk about mentorship because what you said is you had some mentors that told you can't come here in this Brooklyn way. Now you can't do
Yes.
what you did in the streets in here. Now I resonate a little bit from that because I'm from Detroit, Michigan now, so
Okay.
I
Okay.
resonate with it a little
Holla,
bit, right?
holla.
Having to learn and grow both professionally and personally to be your best self. And it sounds like what you had to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like I have worked with some of the most phenomenal nurses on the planet, especially in my early years, throughout my 20s, when I was just coming into nursing, I think at 21, 19, something like that. I worked with some phenomenal nurses, and they were really committed to excellence. And so much so that that was during the time when nurses had to wear all white. And rarely did you catch us in pants. We were in either a skirt and top or a dress, nursing, uniform dress. You had your white shoes with the matching pantyhose. You don't show up at Arlington Hospital or Alexandria Hospital and your shoes is dirty. Like I mean, it was that kind of sisterhood, that kind of relationship where we were each other's keepers. And I'm thankful for that because they really helped grow me into the professional that I've become over these years. And I see the value in that 30 years later.
Wow, and that's the power of good leadership, right? That's the power of wanting to grow others. I think sometimes leaders don't want to invest and grow others because they're scared. They
Yes.
weren't taught how to be a leader, so they think what they're doing is great leadership. When in fact they're toxic, and I think you've dealt with some toxic leaders over the course of your career.
I think that's really my mindset. That's why I came up with Nurses Take the Lead.
Yes.
That's why my platform, three of the pillars in Nurses Take the Lead is our number one pillar is we are going to always put people first. Our second pillar is we prioritize patient care, but people come first because it's the people that's giving the care. The patient can't come before the people because, as a group or team, if we're not healthy and we're not okay, then we can't give care that is okay to the patient. So we have to make sure the workforce is healthy, is okay. So people come first. We put people first. We prioritize patient care, and then we help organizations understand how to pursue profit with a purpose. And by doing that, everybody wins. That's a win-win for the mission statement, the vision statement as well.
Wow, I think that's amazing. You talk about the three pillars, and I'm sure that's something you over time. But because of that, I'm sure you're able to help leaders grow, organizations grow, and help the community at large. So kudos to you and your company, Nurses Take the Lead. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more later in the podcast, but you have this thing about dysregulated leaders, dysfunctional leaders. So talk to us about that.
Ooh, ooh,
Oh,
ooh, I can feel my blood pressure rising, Demetrius. I can tell you because, and you know what? When I think about my career, I'm not so sure I would even change any of it because it was those experiences with leaders that were dysregulated that helped me to create the platform and the leadership style that I bring to organizations. And I can go all the way back to a time when I had a leader, and the staff would hear her walking. She has shoes on, and you
mhm.
could hear the heels clacking on the floor, right?
Yes.
And then this is how magnificent staff can be when even they are in tune that the leadership is off, right? And this is what they would do. They would hear her coming towards my office and they would run in the office real quick and shout,
Wow.
Miss, they give me this little
Wow.
heads up so that I could just kind of brace myself for it. And
Wow.
one of the things I remember all these years later is she would come into the office. Not only would she sit on the desk, but I was a bit of just over the top with organization. So I had all my papers lined up, half inch apart. I knew
Yeah.
exactly what I was working on. And she would come into the office and just slap all of it into like this pile. And in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to die any minute here. Um, but the two things about this that's important when we talk about this regulation. Number one, he had been a leader of that organization for a long time, and everybody knew that she was emotionally dysregulated, but it was never addressed. And if you were the employee that questioned it, then you were the troublemaker. And so
Yes.
as a young leader, I just really couldn't understand that. And I remember actually going to the HR person because this is my own ignorance at this time, thinking like, gosh, I'm heartbroken. What can I do better? How can I win this leader over? And then I realized that the HR person wasn't really on my side, so to speak, because, the bigger objective was for the HR person is really trying to keep the peace within the organization. They're trying to keep the fires, at bay. So it was quite disappointing. And then I found out that that person had been put in that position with no training, was, I believe, a nursing assistant, and the position became open. And because the leader liked her, put her in there, and voila, there you go. So I've had multiple dysregulated leaders over the years. Some have been quite narcissistic, where they smile in your face. They tell you that everything is okay, that them and make sure that they bring you down a peg or two.
Yeah,
So um, I think that's unfortunate because we are told as nurses that we are to give such high integrity care to the patients. We are to show such a high level of respect. There's a code of conduct that we are held to, and shame on the organizations that don't uphold that same type of code of conduct for their work.
agree.
For me, um, it's just my platform because over the years to doctors about it. I've had depression, I've had GI. The minute I drive up to the parking lot, all of a sudden I'm nauseous, my stomach is hurting. I'm thinking, you don't have to live like this, you know? And so that's really a platform that, we deal with the human of who we are and what our issues are so that we can create a work culture where there is civility. And I love one of my colleagues, Teresa Sanderson, is freaking phenomenal in this space because she really is a proponent on, how we say nurses kind of eat their young. And
Yes.
she's doing that whole narrative around to nurses feed their young one another and kind of build that fortress. And I think that's phenomenal. Many dysregulated leaders, you hide in stuff from family members. If you are committed to being of integrity, it's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that, it's kind of taboo for nurses really to talk about and bring to the table if you expect to stay employed and have a job and have favor.
And that's one of the unfortunate things about leadership, right? Is a lot of times when there's high turnover in leadership to look at themselves.
Sure.
It's the staff, it's the culture, but who sets the tone and the trend for culture?
Right.
It's often the leadership. And if we have high turnover as leaders, we should be evaluating ourselves in the culture and being open and honest. You mentioned
Yeah.
that, that administrator or that person placed their friend in a role or somebody in a role that doesn't have experience. Well, what happens when you start to place people in these roles that don't have experience? It's never good for the culture. It's never good
Right.
for the organization. So, you know, over the years you've dealt with these leaders. How have you learned to maintain your sanity and pull people through and really teach and leaders that, hey, you toxic and turn it around, right? Because as a healthcare consultant now, you go into toxic environments and you turn it around. You
Hmm.
spend 30, 60, 90, 120 days there turning organizations around. So, how did you learn to do that? How did you learn to really turn toxicity around?
Well, I think because of my journey and having been exposed to it, Demetrius, I think that certainly helped build the muscle to be able to tolerate it, number one, and number two, to be able to recognize it for what it is. Call that thing what it is, just recognize it for what it is. Like, boom, this person doesn't like you for whatever reason. The why doesn't really matter. It really
Yes.
is the action of the leader, right? So the why behind it is not so important. So I think when we do the work on ourselves, we're less likely to be triggered when we see this behavior in others. And so I think that's very key because then when I go into organizations and there's toxicity there's a lot of this kind of narcissistic, you owe me a favor because I put you in this position, or I looked beyond, your work performance, or whatever. When those things are going on, it's the ability to really expand the lens and to not take any of the behavior, whatever's going on. Don't take any of that personally. And so I've been successful in being able to, because I can still embrace leaders. And I think some of these leaders, they're off putting, right? So when you have a consultant that's able to come into the organization and really embrace you and your truth of who you are and how you are leading your team, I think that's welcoming on a lot of levels because individuals, most of the time, they're spending a minimal amount of time with those types of leaders. And
Yeah.
so I think the leader sometimes is guarded too. and they're expecting a certain type of action or reaction. And when I don't give that to
Yeah.
them, I let them know I can easily disarm you. Like, I'm not the enemy, I'm kind of passing through.
Yeah.
And I address the problems that they define. And that's a little bit of a difference. I want to talk about that for a minute, because that may not be what they need, Demetrius. That may not really be the top priority, but I work within the confines of how they define the problem. And sometimes the problem is skewed, but I think that's part of my success as well. I don't go in and, I'm kind of beating you over the head with a hammer and, convincing you that your problem is something other than what you're ready to accept as the truth of what the problem is.
I think that's interesting, and your approach is very interesting. But I think as we did your intro and you filled out, the background, you talked about, analyzing personalities and really meeting people where they are. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up. And again, this is something that Teresa Sanderson she shared with me, I mean, again, it resonates totally with what my values are and my platform. And basically, it's being able to see the wholeness of the individual based on what are their values, what's important to them, what's their style, and then this way I can actually communicate in a language that they can hear that really resonates with them. Like, for instance, if I go into an organization, I'm actually in an organization right now, and I'm working with someone that is really knowledge based, and this is under the bank methodology that Sherry Tree developed. And so, for a knowledge person, they're not really warm and fuzzy. They just basically want to get their information, have the last say in everything. They're kind of like the experts. And what does that mean for me as an expert coming into the organization? Once I realize that and assess that, then I allow this person to have the final say in a lot of the decisions. I allow this person to have the space to, because their identity is tied to their knowledge base, right? So you can't ever one up that person and think that they're going to run to be a part of the team or run towards change. That is very important to the individual in terms of their growth and their success within the organization. And then I have another person within the organization that is total opposite, that is really driven by relationships. She's a nurturer, and it's almost total opposites of the spectrum, because a nurturer needs to be kind of pat on the back, know that they're making a
Hmm.
difference. The relationship matters to them. Whereas the knowledge person, boom, they count the data, they getting the reports done. They don't, relationships is like last on their list, right? So it's
Understand?
understanding those dynamics, because guess what? Everyone within these organizations are who they are. So if I come across someone who is really toxic, they're not toxic because Dr. V is up in their house. They
Yeah.
toxic because they toxic. They was toxic long before I got there.
Ooh.
So I'm not taking that as a personal attack or insult. But when I recognize it through the personality based science and how you break down leadership styles and their values, then it's easy for me to really communicate with them in a language that matters to them, and it's not threatening, and it's not taking anything away from um, who they are and their ability to feel safe in the space. And I think that's really important, because you can be the smartest person on the block, but if you don't reach the team, you don't know how to communicate with the team, then your knowledge is really falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's so phenomenal. That's how I've been so successful, because when organizations realize that each team member is just talking another language, it's not this person don't really hate you or don't like you and all.
Yes, definitely.
It's just that you guys are talking a different language, and I help them to understand that, so that they take the personal piece out of it, so they can really be more productive. And the bottom line is to gain the profit and give the quality care too. So,
Which interesting, right? Because you mentioned like it's a bank methodology, but I think what get down to the root cause of it and what you're really saying is intelligence,
yes.
understanding the room, understanding the person, and tailoring your interventions. We're nurses, right?
Yes.
Tailoring your interventions to that particular person. So, how have you grown and embraced emotional intelligence in your leadership space?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's really a game changer. When you look at real estate, you look at all these other industries, banking industries, everyone has infused emotional intelligence
Yes.
into their bottom line somewhere. But
Yes.
healthcare, we're not doing it. Like we're the last ones to get on the bus here. And when you start talking about attrition rates, retention rates, your press Ganey results, you want staff satisfaction, you want patient engagement. When you're really talking about all of these indicators, it's important that emotional intelligence is part of the equation. And when we start looking at sustainability, right, our bottom line, profit, all of this, how can we do this without beginning to infuse emotional intelligence into the picture? And the bank methodology, what I love about it is Sherry Tree, how she broke it down is bank is an acronym. So the B is for the blue or blueprint style. A is your action style person, and the A's are red. And then you have yellow for your nurturer, which is the N, and then K is your knowledge, which is green. So just imagine, Demetrius, if you're in an organization and all the name tags that the employees are wearing, they're wearing their color of their code of their language, right? It's a system, it's just coded. So I already know I'm one of the early birds. So in the morning, once I get up, I'm loud, I'm happy, I'm carrying on. But if I work with you
Yeah.
and I look at your name badge and you got blue or green on your name badge, that's a signal right there. Don't go up to me to Demetrius early in the morning with all of that because he ain't trying to hear it. You're that's the thing.
Yeah.
So it lets us know right away how to communicate with each other. And the same thing, if you're in a meeting and you have multiple key team members, key stakeholders that are action, they're red, that meeting better really be on point because action, they're not trying to sit in no meeting and kumbaya all day. They want to know what does it have to do with them. They
Yes.
the bullet points, boom, and meeting over. So you can lose the engagement of some team members if you don't really begin to infuse.
You said you can. It faded out. You said you can lose the engagement if you don't. So
Yeah, you can lose the engagement if you don't crack the code of your key stakeholders, your employees, your staff, because you're thinking that maybe the employee is not interested or you don't know how to
yes.
get them motivated. It's just that you're speaking a different language, and that's really important. That's important because time is money nowadays.
Whew.
We have a lot of nurses. It's like a mass exodus going on, not just nurses, but in healthcare in general, right? So, what can we do differently to keep the staff that we have and improve the engagement, the satisfaction? You got to switch the formula. Patients cannot come before the people that care for the patients. Yeah.
Wow.
Know your people, invest in them, get to know them. What's their code? Speak their language. Boom. And then people feel heard and understood and they're in a place where it can really grow.
Dr. V, you have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information. And I know we're getting ready to bring this to a close, but we're going to have you on again because your knowledge is oozing out of you. The fact that you, as a leader, are really invested in emotional intelligence and really understanding um, people's thoughts and feelings and using that to benefit you to move organization forward, it's what every leader must know and what every leader must do. And so, as we bring this to a close, you've taken that knowledge and you started one of several businesses, right? You're a travel consultant, worldwide, but you've taken that and you started a business called Nurses Take the Lead. So, talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, Nurses Take the Lead is really phenomenal. As a nurse consultant, I worked through staffing agencies before. Demetrius, I have over 30,000 miles of travel throughout the country with different facilities, and have worked with hundreds and hundreds of employees in all departments. And so, Nurses Take the Lead is an opportunity for nurses really to take their rightful place, not to be thought of as an afterthought, but really to empower nurses to lead the narrative, lead the call to provide this excellence. And the excellence begins with each one of us. It begins with us doing the work on ourselves so that when we show up within these organizations, we are emotionally healthy. We are not demonstrating emotionally dysregulated behavior. We're not making such a challenge on the leaders within organizations to the point where we just have a bad rap for ourselves. Nurses take the lead. We have nurses that are, they're just phenomenal. They're changing lives every single day. And I'm on a mission to touch at least 1 million lives of the nurses, to just stand at the forefront and just take their rightful place. Because over the years, I think it's been kind of diluted down in some industries, and that just is not the case. Because within a facility, Demetrius, if we're really short staffed, a nurse can go in the kitchen and fix a sandwich or cook something, or a nurse can go in the housekeeping closet and get the mop out and mop the floor, sweep the floors. A nurse can really talk to patients if there's issues with under the social service domain or whatever. We can go into many different departments and provide those services, but there's no other department within an organization. You can't take anyone out of another department and they can come into nursing and do what nurses do. And so we want to just acknowledge that nurses take the lead. It's not something that we should beg for, we should have to plead for, even because once we have our education, our training, our license, we have certain rights that are already attached to that.
Dr. V, appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend time with us here on
Of
Sound Leadership
course.
with DJ. How can people get in contact with you? How can they learn about your fabulous services that you offer? Maybe they want to hire you as a consultant. They want to bring you in as a speaker. They want to learn about Nurses Take the Lead. They want to learn about your emotional intelligence, education, and training. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you so much for the opportunity. If anyone wants to reach out to me, of course, they can go to our website at www.nursestakethelead.com and reach out. There's a contact form there. I would love for the listeners on LinkedIn, you can find me at Nurses Take the Lead. We're really developing the company page, but I spent a lot of time on my personal page as well. And you can find me under Dr. Valecia Baldwin on LinkedIn. And yeah, I always like to receive messages, shout out from, anybody that, needs any help or guidance. I just love what I do. It's not a job. It's just, I feel like I'm called to do it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Demetrius.
Dr. V, I didn't do it. You did it. I just honored to have you on. Have you on
Yeah,
Sound
yeah.
Leadership with DJ. I think that you are phenomenal, and it was a pleasure to really talk to you and really be able to share with the world your philosophies on leadership. So, like I said, we definitely will have to have you back on. So, I really appreciate you for coming on Sound Leadership with DJ.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you again.
Yes, and I want to thank everyone for watching Sound Leadership with DJ. We are nothing without the viewers, and as you see here in this corner, oh, wrong finger up here in this corner, we want you to subscribe and share Sound Leadership with DJ. We want to continue to grow this audience, and I have something else new for you. We also have our guest sign up QR code that is now up there, and we want to interview leaders, any type of leader in various fields. It doesn't have to be healthcare. It can be automotive. It can be banking. It can be a dairy farmer, right? If you're a leader, Sound Leadership with DJ wants to talk to you. I look forward to talking to you. So thank you, Dr. V, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Sound Leadership with DJ. We hope that you gained valuable insights and inspiration from our conversation with Dr. V. If you've enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to like and follow us on our social media pages for more great content. You can find us on YouTube and LinkedIn at Sound Leadership with DJ. Also, don't forget to tune in to our podcast on your favorite platforms. That includes Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on our latest episode. Remember, leadership is a journey, not a destination. Keep striving to learn and grow and never give up on your goals. We wish you all the best on your leadership journey and look forward to having you join us again soon for more insightful discussions on Sound Leadership with DJ.